we're talking about is the Kinect. Microsoft's lovable little IR sensor. Easy to crap on. Less easy
Harder to
love.
play.
I don't know if I want this to be a full segment of just, boy, that thing sucked. Like, it's an interesting moment in the video game industry that I think is worth reflecting on.
I
right?
have positive feelings for the Kinect that I can
Me too.
relate.
Yep.
Yeah? Okay.
Absolutely.
Reiner, take me back. I guess, Cork, you were there as well.
Yeah.
E3 2009. Project Natal. They unveiled it all. What were first impressions?
You were wearing a vest that lit up.
No, this was that was
before.
when they announced the name. This is when they said, "Do you want to see the bottom of an Avatar shoe?" Boom, and then the character
bam.
lost its skeleton.
If you've never seen this clip of Kudo, who's like the main project lead for the Kinect,
yes,
just search Kinect bottom of an Avatar's shoe.
Yes.
On YouTube. One of my favorite things that's
was
ever
hilarious.
happened on planet Earth.
Because that was that E3 they announced, Microsoft has this new peripheral, and at that point they were just calling it Project Natal. And they had the bottom of the Avatar shoe, they had the Milo demonstration.
Yeah.
With Peter Molyneux, the little boy, and the sailboat.
Yeah, we were all going to adopt a little boy.
I went back and watched that video again, by the way. Molyneux goes out of his way to say, like, the future is now. This is real. This is happening. This isn't sci-fi. This is actually really running. And of course, it's all BS.
Yeah, so when Andy went and got his demo of Milo, by the way, at E3 behind closed doors.
Demo of a young boy.
Yeah. So you want to go in this room? I'll leave it there. But I was there, and as Andy's interacting with Milo, there's like a guy behind the curtain, like a programmer, like, let's see, what color shirt? Andy's wearing green.
Literally?
And Milo would be like, that's a nice green shirt. Yeah, like actually punching in data.
And you could see it, but they weren't trying to hide it?
Yeah. There was a guy at a computer that was like making these demos.
It was just a window
magical.
that they wrote Sony on underneath it. And there was just a real little boy behind it.
That's so weird.
The weirdest thing, though, was how they unveiled Kinect.
That video?
No. Was it the actual name of it? Where they had Cirque du Soleil?
Oh, you're
whatever?
skipping ahead then. Okay, to the actual.
No. Okay.
This was still like the Project Natal. It seemed like an excruciatingly long period of time where that's what everyone was calling it.
Because you had to pronounce Natal. And they
It
had
looked like natal.
Yes,
It
and they
looks
had
exactly
this like
like it, in
crazy 4-minute video showing off like, oh, all the family playing together. There's all sorts of things. Like there's going to be a little girl. She's driving a race car with her hands and then pulls into the pit stop. And then the dad stands up and takes the tire off.
Yep. And then there was like a fashion thing where the girl's like, I'm going out on the town. What should I wear? Whatever shall I wear? And stood in front of the thing. And it was just like all these different dresses popped up over her. A little boy was stomping around. It was a
Godzilla.
monster.
It's basically a Double Fine game.
Skateboard
That
game where he
came
like held up the thing and it put the design on the skateboard.
That never happened in any way.
Mom probably did recipes and whatnot. I don't know. That's
Connected Ventures had a scanning thing.
Really? So it would scan in what?
You could scan in like anything, and it would like animate it and make it come to life.
Really?
And
okay.
I actually tried to scan my at the time infant to see if I could get it to work. It was very strange and didn't.
And you haven't seen your infant since.
Yeah, has anyone seen that infant?
I think don't be shy. You should bring that up every time if you could.
You open your mouth. Okay, but now jumping ahead, Reiner.
Yes. Yeah, so that would be the next E3 then. So it was a year.
2010.
Mm-hmm.
So they announced it, and then it was a year of what is
Project
Natal going to end up being called?
Are we going to call it this?
It's worse than the NGP.
Yeah.
So we are invited to a special event for whatever this is going to be from Microsoft. And it is a presentation from, I'm going to butcher the name again, Cirque du Soleil.
You did good.
I did good. Okay.
Yeah.
Where they are unveiling things you can, like a life of through Project Natal, right? Everyone in the audience has to wear these white...
Yes, like a poncho. They get
poncho
like as you were
Gallagher poncho.
lights
Yes.
that light up.
As you're checking in, they give everyone a poncho, and they didn't light up at first. Remember, everyone was just wearing these ponchos going like, what is going on here? And at one point during the show, they had these special things, and they were all, I don't know, there's some like IR magic going on. Everyone's ponchos started lighting up, and everyone's looking around in disbelief. It was...
And here's the thing is, if you were lucky enough to get a seat... You weren't standing on the floor. So Andy and I are standing on the floor with 1,000+ people in these ponchos. It's like Cliffy B down there, like Jeff Keighley, and we're all like, what the hell's going on? We're just walking around. And the circus actually like came through us. So we would
circus came through us.
And it was like these giant like what would you call them? Like floats almost, like
Yeah.
of like elephants and animals that would come walking through. So we would
Like
all
the
have to
Lion
like
King kind of thing.
scatter and let these things come through to get to the stage.
Mm-hmm. The presentation itself was super weird because it was kind of like it was like the beginning of 2001 or something where they're trying to equate Project Natal, which they then said was Kinect, with like one of the most amazing things, kind of like when the apes discovered that monolith and beat each other with the bones, because they had like all these like through the ages man is doing this, and then there was in the back a couch suspended from the ceiling with a family sitting there the entire time just watching and pointing, and like it made zero sense. I remember Nick
And that
Aarons
thing
and I
would
were just
rotate then. The couch would like rotate in a cube.
and that was, they had all the testimonials, and one of them was like Kojima saying his he could see an application for it where like Kinect is installed in an elevator and it could detect if someone was sick and then could possibly send in like medical attention or something. It had all these developers, it was just like a random like, we're really excited about this and all this whatever, and then
BS.
Kojima just out of nowhere, like this application that did not make any sense whatsoever, but it was kind of great.
That's
They
like,
had, like, a
I like
Star
they had a
Wars-
quote from Kojima. And they're
Star
like,
Wars
we got to
game.
use Kojima. It doesn't matter that this isn't gameplay related. We
Yeah.
got to get Kojima in there.
Yeah, that was the big thing everybody was talking about, was a Star Wars game where it
Yes.
was like doing the lightsaber motions from like the prequel era, I think.
Mhm.
Oh, with
But
your
I mean, it was
hands.
one of the most embarrassing things I've been a part of, because not only are you standing there just looking awful in these ponchos with like significant shoulder
Stripped
pads,
you of your dignity.
but then they start
immediately.
For the
lighting
sake
up.
of mankind, though.
Then
I
they
mean,
started lining up.
Yeah, and
Oh,
it's like,
no.
what are we doing?
What are we doing?
and what you're doing is witnessing the future of humanity.
Yes.
Yeah, and eventually where it all went after that. That is like, it's such a weird thing. I mean, from the beginning, the idea is just having a camera. Just imagine the possibilities. I mean, just imagine it. And it's one of those things of like, yeah, we're still imagining it. Like,
Well,
we don't know exactly the good
The
application.
thing
of this.
about it, though, is that they like both Microsoft and Sony at that point had peripherals that were essentially just a nice webcam. So this was
Yeah.
like an advancement of a
and stuff.
concept. It was supposedly going to deliver a better version of what people had been tinkering around with for years. And it did seem exciting at first. And I think that there were some applications that it worked very well in.
the elevator.
The elevator, I know I barfed on the elevator, and then the paramedics came
elevator. The Kinect just shook its head when it saw you doing it.
and took it away on a stretcher. It was great.
Yeah, probably the most elaborate unveiling of a peripheral ever in the history of electronics, right? Like,
was bonkers.
having giant elephants and light up shoulder pads.
But then, honestly, the joke on us was that it sold surprisingly well on the 360 at least.
Yeah, I want to say it was like 11 million units out of the gate or something crazy like that.
At the time, it was like the most successful like electronic peripheral like ever released.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Made
It was definitely.
shelves everywhere look like the nastiest imaginable bruise, with these purple boxes next to the weird green boxes
Yeah.
from the Xbox 360.
Don't mix and match those. Ugh,
It
just
was really gross.
for sorting purposes, it was a nightmare. And like, it's easy to make fun of again because you flail around and they're all bad games, or maybe not. We'll talk about it in a bit. But it is crazy. Like, just from the weird anecdotal experience of filming all those man in the street things with Reeves, so many people, when we're talking about new hardware, new games, they say, "Oh, is it kind of like that Kinect thing?" Like, it really had a big impact, I think, on the wider public of like, "Oh yeah, I know there's some sort of you can dance around your living room." Like, it did work. It did make a big splash.
I think more
industry.
importantly, the kind of undersold aspect of it that I really appreciated was I like being able to say Xbox pause video or whatever the command was, and just to have it do that when you're watching a movie without turning off your controller, which of course if you're watching something by then the controller has turned itself off and then you have to turn it back on. I liked the voice activated stuff.
Yeah, I did too. Xbox record that, which would record 30-second clips. Like, I did that all the time. That's what I used Kinect for like 3 years, I think.
This is for the Xbox One or the 360? Could you do that?
I think you could do it on both, yeah.
Well, you couldn't record because there was no HDR, but you could play and pause.
So it was just Xbox One. Then.
Yeah, and it was like it was funny, but like one of the things I was excited about with Xbox One and Kinect was that you could turn it on because like you couldn't do that with 360.
Right.
And I remember actually specifically like Brian Vore making fun of me as calling that out as like one of the things I was excited about with Xbox One. But I still use it today. Like that's how I turn on all my entertainment system. I walk into my living room, I say Xbox on, and I feel like I'm in the future.
Didn't they have a problem with a commercial where someone was doing Xbox commands?
Well, someone made
Aaron Paul, right? Like he would be saying
Yeah.
like Xbox on or whatever, and people's Xboxes would start turning on in their house.
Well, one weird byproduct of that is like that when I would talk about the Xbox in the house, I would have to call it like the Microsoft console. Like if I was in the living room, I'd be like,
name that shall not be spoken.
yeah, exactly. Because if you said Xbox, it would be like, oh, what? Did you need me for something?
Yeah.
And it would like turn on.
Oh God. Well, talking about the Xbox One then, with Reiner bringing it up there. I mean, Cork, you were there. We went before they unveiled it to see the Xbox One on Microsoft's campus, and I went back through my notes because holy Lord, did they push Kinect? Like here are a couple things that they said during that little like weird behind closed doors unveiling the Xbox One. They said Kinect is no longer just an accessory; it is a critical part of the program. And quote, we've gone all in with Kinect.
I can't imagine a time where something has been aggressively ignored so much as what Microsoft did with Kinect on Xbox One. Because this was a product that everybody who bought an Xbox One had.
Yes.
Yep.
And did they release a boxed game for Xbox One that was Kinect at launch? After launch?
Well, there's stuff that like supported.
There's like downloadable stuff too, right?
Yeah, there's stuff like Disney Adventures or whatever, but they eventually patched in controller support for that. So I think there were, but it was crazy. And like they eventually released that weird trimmed down version of Dance Central. But outside of that, and then Fantasia, I guess was out there for Xbox One, but it's just a crazy small percentage of games on Xbox One that supported it. It's like, what are you guys doing? Your software is not there.
Yeah, it was like in the same breath of them announcing Xbox One and the importance of Kinect, they had no software. Like at E3, like the show floor even didn't have. I asked Phil Spencer about that, and he's like, well, it doesn't demo well. But it's like, not only are you just not demoing it, you're not even talking about it. Yeah, you're requiring people to buy this for an extra $100 or something like that, right?
And imagine to the frustration of studios like Harmonix, where it's like, we're making a Kinect game and you're not talking about it on stage.
And then to the probably the frustration of other developers in general, because just kind of like the computational overhead that having Kinect on, I mean, it required like a beginning, there'd be the comparison between the Xbox One version and the PlayStation 4 counterpart. Yeah. And you'd lose resolution and frame rate ostensibly because you had this thing running in the background always listening, hey, are you talking about me?
It split the overall amount of RAM because that was a big part of that Xbox One trip as well. It was like, all right, it's this amount that's dedicated to the OS, and then we still have, look, all these gigs of RAM ready for the games and whatnot. Also, is another one of those dopey things where they made such a big deal at that Xbox One launch event thing, talking about like, oh, this Kinect, you guys, this one can read your heartbeat. So,
yeah, that was strange.
So just think about that. I mean, games, natural fit. It's like it was like, oh, you could be playing a horror game, and the Kinect will know when you're scared. First of all, no, it can't. Second of all, what then?
Yeah.
Then
we'll dial it back. This guy's getting scared.
We'll fake a message from your mom popping up on the screen.
Yeah, weren't they even talking about like individual digits of your hands? And I think
that's what the Xbox One version could do. Right?
Yeah, and eye tracking too, or was that, or were they saying that's the future? That's
as
the
long
next
as your
Kinect.
Fingers were in your eyes, it would detect it.
As long as you held them up to your eye and pointed where you were looking.
By fingers, I mean a balled up fist.
I mean, that's kind of what killed it, right? Is whenever we'd use this thing, we'd be raising our hand for it to register us, and a lot of times it wouldn't. And then you'd see your character model that it's reading, and like your hand in the physical world is raised, but in the game, it's like freaking out behind your body.
Bottom of an avatar.
Shoot. It's also because like most of us don't live in IKEA showrooms.
Right.
We have fluorescent lights and coffee tables and couches, and the lighting is less than optimal for, I would say, the majority of us. And like, it worked about as well as any product that does not have an element where contractors come and build a special chamber for it.
Well, do you remember on Fallon's show when they that was like the first Kinect gameplay that they showed on television?
Oh, really?
They had everyone in like red jumpsuits. And then like afterward, everyone was like, "Wait, do I have to wear a red jumpsuit in order to play this?" And they had to. They didn't say it during the show, but they went back and they're like, "No, it works without buying a full red jumpsuit."
Unless you're Questlove, it may not recognize that you are a person.
But
Yeah.
That was a weird moment in Kinect history.
Yeah, and then it was like the next like gameplay footage was this like family magazine. Do you guys remember this? I got to see it from the outside. Because I wasn't working at Game Informer yet. And so like my first impression of someone playing Kinect was this family-focused magazine showing a family playing the game, and they looked ridiculous. Yeah. Like it didn't show the on-screen footage; it just showed a mother and a young son like flailing their arms around and laughing. And it was absurd. That was my first look at like, well, I guess that's what I can expect from the Kinect.
And then it's like an SNL commercial where it rotates around and the TV's off.
I mean, the hyperbole of, oh, it's going to replace the controller. You heard that a bunch. We knew that wasn't going to be the case, but that when it did work, it was fun. Like Dance Central was a good time.
Well, that's a good example.
Kinect Adventures was a good time. But the inconsistency of it reading you is what killed it, and like made me not want to play games. Like even if I thought something sounded cool, just knowing it was running on Kinect meant 30% of my motions aren't going to be read.
Yeah.
How awful is that going to be? That was the question you would have. Yeah. I mean, even though they improved the technology, you guys were there on campus. You saw it as well. The soundproof room they had where...
A lot of testing and weird stuff.
Yeah, where they were going like the extra distance to try to make this thing foolproof and work the way they wanted. But the reality of the product that hit shelves, it just wasn't that.
It was still the technology.
2.0 was still buggy as hell.
It would still recognize the giraffe in Game Informer's conference room as Kyle Hilliard.
Exactly.
By the way, that really happened, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there's a feature on the site you can find of me. I was basically trying to trick the Kinect when the Xbox One came out, and it turns out it was very easy to trick the Kinect. And it recognized a giraffe as me. But, I mean... Conceptually, I still like the idea of the Kinect. I liked it. Like if it didn't take such broad movements to select menus. I like little hand movements. Like Minority Report was their first like initial pitch.
Yeah.
Like that idea of like like even just like flipping through Netflix or something by waving your hand is cool. But it was never 1-to-1. It was always delayed, and it just didn't work more than half the time.
Yeah, I want to say some of the voice commands. I think there was a Mass Effect game that did some voice commands.
Yeah. I thought it was better with Kinect. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that actually worked. There's some hyperbole too. I thought that actually kind of worked, right?
I played it almost exclusively, like just yelling commands.
Yeah,
it was great.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I did too. I like.
She'd be like, Liara, grenade.
Yeah, I would have her like do the thing where the biotic that would float people into the air, and then I could just shoot them in the face. I said that a bunch, and it worked very well. Like the voice commands in Kinect were great.
Xbox, fix this ending. Right, guys?
Don't release Andromeda.
Come on, guys. Okay, so Dance Central. Mm-hmm. What are the other actually good Kinect games?
The launch game, Kinect Adventures, was really fun. Just kind of proof of concept, playing the dodgeball.
Mm-hmm. It was the Wii Sports equivalent.
Yeah. I thought that was a pretty good launch game for them.
I played Fruit Ninja Kinect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I loved the... oh God, I totally forgot the name. The Double Fine one.
Happy Action Theater and Kinect.
Happy Action Theater.
Gunslinger.
Amazing.
Happy Action Theater. I still will turn on and just leave it on for the kid.
It is the best thing.
And it's super fun.
Like you get 4 or 5 kids and they can just jump in and out. And if you have not played that one, it's just kind of like these short vignettes of a minute or two where a volcano is in the background erupting, and then you're sinking in the lava, or hey, the room's full of bubbles and you can pop them and move
it's
them.
The best application of Kinect.
Yeah, no points, no goals, just this. You can knock over buildings, pretend to be Godzilla. It's fun and silly.
Yeah, and after a minute or two, a curtain closes, then it opens, and you're like, wait, what's this? And then
And Reiner, you brought a Gunstringer, which the game is pretty solid from Twisted Pixel.
I mean,
Wavy 2-man DLC is the way to go. We played through all of it during Extra Life, and it's a real fun video.
Once Upon a Monster, I was very excited for, but it just ended up being so frustrating.
Ooh,
it just because I was I liked it. I love Double Fine. I wanted to see this is a game I could play with my kid, but it just made me and my child angry because it just didn't work. So.
And I remember those were stories about empathy and being a good person too, which is probably what you had a problem with.
Perfect
material.
for getting angry at technology. But if we're going down games, Dance Central was I played that a ton, and I don't really like dancing, but me and my wife played that a lot, and we would have people over frequently and have Dance Central parties, even though it was ultimately a 1-player game. Mm-hmm. It wasn't until 2, I think, that you could play together and earn points together. But I like that. That was the best application of Kinect. It kind of, I think it fudged the technology a little bit.
Oh yeah.
But it was really fun, and like it was far and away the best Kinect game, and I had an awesome time with all 3 of those titles. The fourth one was kind of buggy.
Black Eyed Peas experience.
I skipped that one.
Yeah, I
and
think
the Michael Jackson experience as well.
I think that's the one game where it's like, okay, they're kind of getting the motions right. Let's give it to them, even though arms probably waving behind you in reality. But yeah, most of the games, like I liked some of the games that would superimpose your actual image using the camera into the game world.
You're in the movie style?
Yeah, like that Kung Fu game we played on replay recently.
That's genuinely fun, despite it not totally working. Like that's part of the charm.
As long as it embraces the jank. It's really not that far
honestly,
from VR in a couple ways, right? Where it seems like my favorite stuff in VR, at least, is just the silly grab-ass games. I think they're officially termed.
That's the genre.
Yeah, I think so. Speaking of Dance Central, it's an oldie but a goodie. If you've never seen it, we had Guar in the office back in 2010 or something, and they played Dance Central. So if you want to see Guar dancing with the Kinect, that video is on Game Informer's YouTube channel if you want to check it out there. Also, we have Jason Sudeikis playing U-Star on Kinect. That was another video that I filmed at E3.
We played U-Star on replay recently, and that is fun because it's stupid and doesn't really work entirely.
And that's it? Those are the recommended games?
That's right. I want to circle back a little bit. We mentioned a game like that no Xbox One game came out of the gate with Kinect. Fighter Within. That was like a box game, and that was Kinect exclusive.
That's right.
And that game was a joke, like immediately. I remember us trying to review it in the office, and it just, I think Helgeson and Dan Reichert were here at the time trying to play it together, and it was laughable.
And Dan reviewed Hulk Hogan's main event for Kinect, which was also a rough ride. And didn't you review the Steel Battalion game?
I did.
How did that go?
That was a freaking nightmare. It was like being trapped in a tank, and you're under fire, and then suddenly your arms don't work. It's a very frustrating experience. It's like, hurry, the thing's filling up with smoke. Hit the button. You're just like pawing it, please. Oh God. Just flat out did not work.
In a funny way, do you think that'd ever work as like a replay to play Steel Battalion?
In a funny way?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. If you're not like you don't have to review it on a deadline, I'm sure it's hilarious.
Fable, right? You reviewed that
was
one.
Bad too. Yeah.
Pet the horse's ass.
Yeah, I mean, that is more a story of what the hell are you doing with the Fable license?
Right.
Like,
right.
Dear God.
What the hell are you doing with the Star Wars license? With Star Wars.
Yeah, we gotta talk about Star Wars Connect.
Star Wars dancing.
Han
but
Solo.
It kind of worked. We liked it for all the wrong reasons, right? Like
Yeah.
it was just goofy and dumb and something that should never have the Star Wars name on it.
Being a Rancor and running around and
Smashing
crushing stuff.
Yeah.
As your arm the Rancor's arm is just like going crazy on the back of your head. Yeah.
Look, they were made with practical puppets. I mean, just part of the jank and the appeal.
That had those moments too, because that game had like a full story, right?
Did it?
Yeah, with cutscenes and
that
everything.
Star Wars
Connect. And because I remember, because it's funny, because I remember watching you were reviewing it and you were playing it, and you'd have these like well-animated cutscenes. And you're like, this is like a Star Wars story. Like we hadn't really had a new Star Wars story in a while. And then like the second gameplay, nice cutscenes, nice animation. The second gameplay started. Your character would just start flailing and going crazy and just totally ruin any kind of move that had been established by the Star Wars story.
Shut up. What do you guys think of self-defense training camp?
Oh,
Power Rangers Super Samurai.
There's a Power Rangers game?
Apparently. Motion Sports Play for Real is
Play
the name
for
of
Real.
The fitness stuff, your shape and all that was pretty good, right?
Oh yeah, Cork, you tried doing that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
obviously.
I'm not making jokes. Yeah, you did try that. Like,
I have to wear this padded hoodie because I'm so ripped now.
But it would watch you do push-ups or something.
Yeah.
Well, that was
strange because most people don't have their Kinect aimed at the floor, but I did.
Yeah, because your shape was at the Xbox One.
That was originally Xbox 360.
Okay, because then there was the Ubisoft one, which made crazy. That's where you would do push-ups and it would be dropping elephants and
that was
balls to your back.
Oh yeah, that was
that
a
one was
kind
of cool. I always liked the premise behind that one.
Oh, Reiner,
how was Dragon Ball?
It's bad.
It's not good.
We have a video on the site of us playing it. And,
yeah, you can throw
it really-
Kamehamehas and stuff, and it just doesn't work. Like that's ultimately the problem with all these games. It's just
Connectimals.
I liked Connectimals. I thought it was fun.
That's where you pet
with or without
cats.
bears.
Skittles.
it really went off the rail when they added bears, though.
You thought so?
Yeah.
This is just simply too much. These are not pets.
It jumped the bear. A lot of good memories. So if somebody had never played Kinect, do you think it's a part of gaming's legacy and history that would be worth checking out in some capacity? Do you think someone's missing out if they didn't check out the best games on the Kinect?
I think it's as interesting as like going to an arcade and playing like, I don't know, a light gun game.
Yeah.
Like just trying it out because it is such a unique feeling. Like that moment where you do connect with the game where it's like, oh, that is me. You know, for those brief moments. Like I think that's kind of neat.
Yeah, it's certainly probably the easiest way for a person, maybe other than like a tablet touchscreen interface, for someone who doesn't play games to interact with a game is just moving their body. If it worked, that would have been even better.
PlayStation Move came out around the same time. It might have been within 6 months or something. And I remember I was such a big Dance Central fan that I was like an adamant defender of like, no, don't get, because for some reason they put them head to head because it was like they were both peripherals that inspired like movement. And I was like, no, don't get a Move, get Kinect and Dance Central, and you'll be set for life. You know,
For your life.
for your life.
Wow, weird era. But I think it's now officially time to awkwardly wave goodbye to the Kinect. Bye,
ya.
Kinect.
Oh, more exaggerated motion.
Not registering it.
And real quick, why are we saying goodbye to Kinect? What is the inciting
Oh
event?
yeah.
Oh, we talked about it earlier in the podcast.
Oh,
yeah,
did you?
It's the idea that Microsoft has discontinued the USB adapter for the Kinect. So now, even if you want to, there's not a good, easy way to hook up a Kinect to your Xbox One. It is completely abandoned. This
Black market.
Yeah.
It is kind of a roundabout way to like proclaim the death of Kinect because like Kinect no longer is included with the consoles.
Yeah.
And then you needed to buy that if you wanted to continue to use Kinect, and now you cannot buy that anymore. So they weirdly it was kind of strange the way that it has died.
Yeah, I think they're going to be going to your house if you have one and forcibly removing it.
Oh really?
Yeah, Phil Spencer's going to beat the crap out of you.
Yeah.
So
the
His
Kinect
hands are going to be real tired.
The Kinect will sense that your heart has stopped because you've died, right? And then they'll come in and clean everything up.
And then the ambulance will show up. That's the Kojima.
I mean,
they do it all along.
It's really too bad, right? Like, it was a good idea. It was just maybe before its time.
But I don't know.
Are we kind of like in the same thing with VR? Like, are they jumping the gun? Like,
I don't think that
the
Microsoft
race to do something innovative
could have incubated this thing any better, though. I mean, the fact that they gave it to everybody, well, gave it. You had to buy it, and like third parties, by and large, were like,
Yeah.
Like it seems.
What if it launched with Xbox One though, was not on 360, and it was like,
that'd be interesting.
This is the difference maker for this generation. Would that have put them ahead?
That's
of
a great
Sony.
No, I think that would have held them. Would have held them back because
Really?
everyone who because if you had to buy it separately, you were
you wouldn't.
No.
It would come.
I
with
know,
your-
but I'm saying the fact that when it came out on 360, you had to opt into it.
Right.
Like if you were given and you could kind of forgive it because you were like, well, I wanted to try this, but if it was just like this is a required element of the console, everyone would be frustrated and be like, I just want to play Halo.
I feel like they're
yeah, but
frustrated.
you still could though.
Yeah, I think it'd be
Yeah.
overwhelmed. I mean, there was that crazy surge of people getting really into it, and if that hit instead of tail end of 360's life, launch of Xbox One, I don't think Reiner's theoretical is too far off.
I think that would have been a boom. Like, holy crap, this is a new thing in gaming.
that
I
would,
need to get
that would have
this.
put ahead PS4.
Yeah,
Well, never know.
and then it would have died off like it is and became the joke.
All right.
It kind of is today.
Goodbye, Connect.
Goodbye,
We
Kinect.
always loved you,
Bye.
and we're confused about your spelling.
I'm right here.
All
Now
right.
hold your hand to the side. Hold your hand to the side. Okay. All right. Okay.
Oh
there
no,
you go.
you're turning it off now.
No.
Stop listening.
Xbox.
Stop
You gotta do
listening.
the teapot.
Xbox.
Thank you so much for watching this excerpt from the Game Informer Show podcast. You can subscribe to the audio version and listen to new episodes airing every Thursday. We cover big games on the horizon, games that we've just reviewed. We have long-form developer interviews, a lot of fun stuff. So check it out every Thursday.